Hi everyone, Emma McCann, your pleasure coach here. In this video I want to talk to you about our stress cycle. Our stress cycle is commonly known of as fight and flight. The stress cycle has more to it than that though. It includes fight, flight and freeze. And then it has completion. So our stress cycle is basically the part of our system that gets activated when our system perceives a threat essentially to our life or potentially towards our life with catastrophic consequences. So back in the day, before we lived in houses and had mod cons, this would have been things like a lion or, a falling branch and a flash flood, things like that. So, a falling branch and flash floods are still relevant in some parts of the world and some adventure sports. But more than that, our lives today include a lot of stresses. Things like running late, not being able to find something, your phone or your laptop not working, having an argument with someone, getting ready and then getting dirty, dropping your lunch on you or having your kid do that, dropping something that then smashes on the floor, nearly missing your bus, a whole range of things. Watching an argument, that's also another one. And then of course there's the top 10 stresses list that have things like moving house, having a new baby, loss of a partner, things like that, new job. So these are not life-threatening things, but our body responds in the same way. We get a surge of cortisol and we get activation of the parts of our system that are they're basically getting ready to keep us safe. So what's happening in this initial stage is that our body is going, what is this threat? Do I need to run from it? Can I fight it? Is it all too late? So those three questions get answered in basically milliseconds. I mean, if it is a lion, you only really have milliseconds to make that choice, right? But when it's, nearly missing your bus, or maybe it's a thought, or tripping over in front of a bunch of people and feeling really embarrassed about that, they're stresses too. So when we have those, we're not, we get on the bus and we've made it, but we don't actually have a predator to run away from or to fight if we say drop our purse and our money goes everywhere. So the way that stress gets completed in the body is different to when we used to run and escape a lion or fight, some other animal and win basically, or miss the branch. And they're kind of quite large things, and our stresses these days tend to be sort of smaller and more chronic, more consistent through the day. You might have 20 stresses in a day. So we're in a state when we go into our stress response where the body is then deciding, what am I going to do? Am I going to fight? Am I going to run, which is flight? Or is it all too late? So if you're going to fight, you're going to stand there and you're going to be aggressive. If you're going to go into flight, then that's running, that's retreating, that's withdrawing. And then the third one, freeze, is basically your mind is saying, your system has assessed this situation as being so bad, I have no hope. And this is when you watch an animal play dead. So humans have that as part of our cycle as well. And in this cycle, basically some part of you is literally feeling that, is literally going, this is so bad, I don't have a chance. I'm as good as dead. I'm as good as dead. And so your mind may actually essentially try to, you might have thoughts that basically are sort of making that true, trying to catch up with what your system believes. So just be aware of what comes up for you in your fight, flight, and freeze. What are the signals that are happening in your body? So I tend to go into overwhelm. My flight, I definitely withdraw. I'll take myself to my bedroom. And my fight, I'm not really able to hear with love. It's just, I need to rah. And once that's done and I've calmed down, then I can come back and can actually hear. So very, very different things. In freeze, I also can go into sort of a shock type state where I'll get really cold and I'll start shivering. And what's really important is completing that. No matter whether you're in fight, flight, or freeze, you really need to complete the stress cycle. An animal in the wild will actually shake. I've seen my children do this. I've seen myself do it as well on occasion, witness myself in that. And so what that's doing is it's actually sort of shaking that part of our system and that response away and bringing us back into our frontal cortex. So this response is a very ancient part of our brain. It's in what's called the reptilian brain, and we're not using this big part here, this frontal cortex, which is the part that makes us essentially so human. It's our thinking part of the brain. So you just need to get back into that. So that might be by asking yourself a question. Marching, opposite arm and opposite leg is a really good one. Also using your eyes to paint around. So if we do what's behind me, you might paint all these little grey things, and then I've got to work backwards for the camera. Go around the moon, which I just can't do backwards. Around the moon, you might, use your eyes to paint like a paintbrush all the textures that you see. Look, there's some beautiful age lines. You can get all of these. This shadow comes in there, goes down there, around there. Right, so you use your eyes and you paint everything you see and move your head and come back, and it's just using that frontal cortex and bringing you back to this moment now. So I hope that supports you to have a little bit more information about your stress cycle, which is fight, flight, freeze, and completion. And once you're not in a state of stress, you can then go about adding more pleasure to your life. So you can't, if you're in stress, doing something that feels pleasureful is fantastic. Reducing that stress, getting out of that stress response, and particularly out of a trauma response, is really, really important. So pleasure is an important part of that, and using your body is a huge important part of that. So it's actually protective in terms of stress management to engage daily and even multiple times a day in things that keep your system centered and focused and out of a stress response. So they might be things like even just doing that marching, or doing some self-touch, giving yourself a little hand massage, going outside and looking at the sky, finding some shapes, talking to someone else. It's not for me to prescribe what feels great for you. So just do things multiple times a day that are designed to support you to feel fabulous, basically. Dressing things that feel good, not the things that you feel stressed and worried about. So I hope that this supports you. I will be doing more videos on this sort of thing in the future, because it's a really important part of the whole piece of being human, is managing our hormones. And if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. And of course, until next time, let pleasure be your guide. Lots of love. Bye.